Let's talk about destiny. Destiny Talk. Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We have an awesome show lined up for you today. My guest is Kim Wilson. We're going to talk about relationships and why they're healthy. And I'm not talking about just relationships with someone else, but relationship with yourself, because it's very important for you to be in tune and know who you are. But before we get deep into the conversation, I just want to talk about some things that's just floating out there on the internet and just some of the things that we're doing. And I was talking to Kim earlier. We really need to do some shows and stuff and teaching people on how to come together as a people, because we are in a state of emergency, folks, if y'all don't notice it or have not noticed it. We've got a lot of these school shootings that are going on. We've got people taking their lives just unnecessarily. So we're going to talk about that during the show, and Kim's going to give us her intake and her insight on it. But for me, guys, I just want everybody to understand that time is short. You have to be in tune with who you are. You don't have time to waste anymore. You have to be able to accept things where they are and how to deal with them. So we're going to talk about how to solve conflict within yourself, because a lot of you don't understand what conflict resolution is. You don't know what emotional intelligence is. You don't know what social intelligence is. So we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. And I also want to just send a shout out there to a lot of people who are just going through some tough times. I don't know about you, Kim, but Facebook to me has gotten very depressing. I tell you, every time I turn it on or go on the news feed, somebody's died, somebody's killed something, people are doing something cruel to animals or to other people. And this world is just going there fast in a handbasket with flames. And it's sad. So, I met Kim at the Black Enterprise Women in Power Summit. And that summit was just, amazing. There's really no words to express it. And, we talked and we had some common grounds, and I like the stuff that she does, so I wanted to bring her here because I think what she does needs to be out there, because a lot of us are hiding behind those walls. And like I said with the show, we talk about that old cliche, what happens in this house stays in this house. We expose the ugly truths behind the walls, because in order for you to walk into your destiny, you have to be able to let go of some things, Absolutely. So I think that's what is the broad focus here today. And, like I usually start out with the little shenanigans, but, it's just right now it's really time for us to get in tune with who we are and how we can help others advance and move forward and walk into their destiny and their greatness, because it's just time. Time is short. So you guys stay tuned. When I come back, I'm going to tell you how to join the conversation, and we're going to get to know Kim a little bit better, and we're just going to talk about how we can help you and you can help us. So you guys stay tuned.
Text us with your shout-outs and requests to 678-613-58557. Radio, not come down.
Attention, licensed financial professionals. Are you looking to provide client solutions for longevity risks, withdrawal rate risks, and sequence of return risks? If you answered yes, then Game Plan Financial Marketing could be right for you. We help financial professionals at every level of production by providing mentoring, sales training, and marketing support to help you grow your business. At Game Plan, our top priority is supporting you and helping you reach that next level of success on your terms, not ours. New team members receive a personalized, step-by-step marketing guide to help take your business to the next level. Claim your copy today. Call Brian Cantrell at 404-889-6317. That's 404-889-6317. Offer is intended for licensed insurance professionals only.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm place on a cold day.
I want to be a football stadium.
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit UNCF. uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Do you love great-fitting jeans with trendy styles? Go to riskdenim.com and check out their fabulous form-fitting premium denim jeans, sizes 1 to 24. Their accurate size charts are designed to make your online shopping experience easier, offering free shipping and no hassle returns because their motto is, you should look your hottest at all times. riskdenim.com, jeans for beautiful women. If you want to stand out in a crowd, get your jeans today at riskdenim.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is your girl, Cherry G, and welcome to Destiny Talk Live. We have a great guest in the house today. Her name is Kim Wilson, and she's going to be sharing some relationship tips and talks with us on why it's important to be in tune with yourself. If you guys are, we're going to be talking to our men first, then we're going to talk to our young ladies, our super women out there, then we're going to tie it all together with our families. So if you're listening and listening to us on Facebook and you want to be a part of the conversation, please go ahead and type your comments in the comment section. We'll read it out loud on air and then we'll discuss it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text or call your comments in to 678-613-5857. So good morning, Kim, and thank you so much for coming in. If you could please just tell them who you are and give them a little bit about what you do.
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Kim Wilson, and I'm the owner of Wilson Professional Counseling. I am a licensed professional counselor, but I'm a relationship expert as well. I focus on having healthy relationships because I believe every problem and every solution lives inside of the relationship. So we have to pay really close attention to the relationships that we have around us.
We talk about that a lot as we were talking at Black Enterprise at the Women in Power, and I was telling you that I think for me, when people are in tune at who they are and they're able to accept all the nonsense and the baggage that came with it and let go whatever it is that they need to let go, that they'll have healthier lives. And that way they can walk into healthier relationships, because I figure if you don't have yourself together, you can't possibly be something for someone else.
Absolutely. The most important relationship is the relationship that you have with yourself. And part of having a great relationship with yourself is knowing thyself. Mm-hmm. Usually whenever I take on a client for the first time, the question I ask is, tell me a little bit about you. And a lot of times what I get is, especially with my teenagers, they shrug their shoulders. I don't know. Well, wait a minute. Wait just a second. You don't know. Well, we have to make sure we keep that blank filled in, because on your worst day, somebody may walk into your life and put some information down in that blank that's not true. And
Right.
you may start to believe that and start to build a relationship with yourself based off that. And part of that is low self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
low confidence, and it really impacts the way we move and groove throughout life.
So let me ask you this, because, I like to talk to my men during this time because, our guys out there, our fellas get a rough break. They don't get a break. I mean, it's just stuff is so hard because they have these stereotypes that they have to break down. And we talk about this a lot on the show. They have those stereotypes where they're not supposed to show emotion. They can't cry. They can't show compassion because if they do, they're weak or something else. What do you give, or do you have male clients?
I do, and I love it when male clients call me without sometimes somebody else calling for them, but when they say, you know what, I need help, and they take that step, because when we close that door and it's just him and me, he feels the freedom and the vulnerability to bawl and cry like a baby. And I say this space is safe. It's okay to release those tears, because every time you release, you're moving all of that pain through you.
Right.
And those tears contain toxins, and we want to get it out. And usually when men feel like they can be vulnerable and not judged.
Right. That's the key word, judge.
Judged.
Yeah. Because that's what I offer here with Destiny Talk Live. We always say it's a judgment-free zone where we respect, appreciate, and value everyone's opinion. And that's important, too, because growing up, I have 4 brothers. I had, my dad and, uncles and just friends around, male friends. And I see sometimes the pain and hurt that they go through, but they're too macho to want to talk about it. And then the thing for me is I want our men to understand not every woman wants a man that can't show compassion. I want somebody that can show compassion. I want someone who can be vulnerable with me. But the key to that is you got to make sure you got the right person to be vulnerable with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important for you to know who you are, right, in order to get into a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because when you know who you are, that means you've put some boundaries in place, you've put some standards in place, and anybody just cannot hang out in your life, and that's for men too.
Right.
You know, every woman cannot just hang out in a man's life. So if you know that you only like pears, there's no sense in going to the store to pick up oranges and bring them to your home.
Right, right. And I like that analogy because it's simple and it's straight and direct to the point. My thing, too, for my men out there is we think as women, we're the only ones that's worried about what people are saying and what people are thinking. And I think that's not true. I think it's a bigger pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Men are constantly thinking about what people are thinking about them, how they feel about them, because everybody wants to present as the winner. Everybody wants to present as, I'm okay. But a lot of times men struggle with not feeling good enough. They struggle with, they look in the mirror and wonder whether or not they are as attractive as the next person.
Right. And, and we always think that that's just a woman thing, that's what only women know. I know guys that are very particular about the way their hair is cut. They get their nails and toes manicured, and they make sure they're pressed clean. But I always say that you can look great on the outside, but be raggedy on the inside. So we're what? Imposters. We're faking the funk because we're putting that mask on.
Yes.
One of my friends used to say all the time, they're dressed up garbage cans.
Oh.
And so, you got to, for my guys, I always like to encourage them that not all women are out there trying to tear them down. They got another stuff they got to fight with. They don't need the person that's supposed to be in their life tearing them down. And I always say you need to find out what your 5 benefits are. You're going to benefit from a situation you're in. And if you can't think of them off the rip, then 9 times out of 10 you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. I always like to, tell my men and my women, everything starts in the mind. It's all about the thoughts. You change your mind, you change your thoughts, you change your life. And if you find yourself suspicious of people, if you have a negative outlook, that has nothing to do with anybody else. That means that you have to take a step back, look at your experience. And usually there's an absence of love somewhere.
Right. And, I'm glad you said that because that whole definition of love, what is love? Do we really even know what that means? When we come back, we're going to get into that because a lot of people don't understand what love is, what being in love is, and what love is.
Yes.
And if you haven't experienced, you don't know it. Guys, we're having a great conversation. We're talking to Kim. You guys will be back and tell you how you can join the conversation.
Attention, licensed financial professionals. Are you looking to provide client solutions for longevity risks, withdrawal rate risks, and sequence of return risks? If you answered yes, then Game Plan Financial Marketing could be right for you. We help financial professionals at every level of production by providing mentoring, sales training, and marketing support to help you grow your business. At Game Plan, our top priority is supporting you and helping you reach that next level of success on your terms, not ours. New team members receive a personalized, step-by-step marketing guide to help take your business to the next level. Claim your copy today. Call Brian Cantrell at 404-889-6317. That's 404-889-6317. Offer is intended for licensed insurance professionals only.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Sensation Station Network.
How would that we have your attention?
Knock them down. Was real?
Yeah, it was.
Radio. Knock them down.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. If you're just joining us, we are talking to Kim Wilson today. She is one of our relationship experts, and she's a counselor, certified, licensed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're talking to our men right now on how you can move forward. And just before the break, we were talking about the word love and what does love mean. So if you want to be a part of this conversation, I need you to go ahead, if you're listening to us on Facebook, type your comments in the comment section. We'll read it out loud, and then we'll discuss it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text or call to 678-613-5857. And I want to give a big shout out to Russell Jackson. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, Kim, this word love.
Yes. I absolutely love talking about love, because love is kind. It's forgiving. Mm-hmm. It's patient. It's all those things the great book tell us. And a lot of times when people say, you know, love hurts, love is pain. No, it does not. Love does not hurt. Love is not pain. What you're dealing with is a behavior. Behaviors hurt. Reactions hurt that are negative. But love won't ever hurt you. Love will always feel good to you. It will help you. It will move you forward.
So how do we get to this point that, because you hear the phrase, if you love me, you won't hurt me. Mm-hmm. But if you hurt, it's not love that's hurting you, it's the person. So how do you tell people, especially our men, because they, like I said, this is a tough thing for them. How do you get them to understand the difference?
Mm-hmm. So you're either going to operate in love or you're going to operate in fear. Fear, when I say fear, afraid to let somebody completely in, afraid to ask for help, afraid to say, hey, this is me, afraid to say, this was my experience. There's fear somewhere. It's just like you cannot sit in love and fear at the same time. Right. Like it cannot be morning and it cannot be night at the same time. You're going to sit in one or the other.
Okay, and that makes sense, because if you think about it, let's talk about they're in relationships, and if you're constantly at one another, there's always constant negative energy. That's what you're saying, is that if you're in that all the time, you're not sitting in love. You're just sitting in some mess. Mm-hmm. Is that basically what I'm hearing? Yes,
and you know, I've known my husband for nearly 20 years, okay? Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, out of 20 years, now we've been married for 11 years. He's never raised his voice at me, and I've never raised my voice at him. I was put on this earth to love him and not hurt him. That doesn't mean we don't have disagreements, right? But there's a way to do that without name calling. Name calling is not love. Right. There's a way to do that without pushing one another. That's not love. That's not what love looks like. Love looks like, you know what? I'm feeling some type of way right now. Mm-hmm. I love you enough to stop it right here and come back.
Right. Walk away. I always say that if you got something, you know, it's better when you're upset, calm yourself first. Remove yourself from the situation, then come back and have the conversation. But you're right. Love doesn't take all that. It doesn't take you down and me down and you. And then the biggest thing is, I get this, well, I'm just going to go cheat. What is the purpose of that?
So, cheating, you know, whatever reason somebody wants to put out there still is that fear somewhere. I'm afraid that this is not enough for me. For me. So I haven't figured out everything about myself. I'm afraid to just be with one person. What if you leave? I got to keep I always got to keep something in the back pocket because I know what it feels like to be left alone, and nobody's going to leave me again. Abandonment issues.
So, and that's what I want to talk like my fellas. Because I hear a lot of men, and I've had this conversation with some guys, and they're like, I don't see the problem with it. It's just like you said, but they don't want you to do it.
Oh no.
You get what I'm saying? So for my guys, if you have a gentleman that comes in and says, I wasn't raised with my father, I always had this, and this is what I saw my mother do with her boyfriends, and la la la, and so forth, there it's right. What do you call that? What do you think that is?
So when I hear that language right there, what that tells me, you have an awareness. You have the power to make a different choice. You have a power to decide differently. And that's what makes us powerful. Choice. Life won't ever leave you without a choice at your feet.
Right.
So when you understand that you've made a choice, I think understanding what's under that choice. And so when you say, well, I didn't have a father, this is what I saw. Well, just like you learned something, you can unlearn it. So what you have told me as well, you are capable of learning. If you learned that over there, you can learn this over here.
Right. So, I always say it's excuses. It's excuses to condone the bad behavior that you're doing. So you just want to be comfortable in that zone or in that space that you're in right there. So I always try to give things to my men to encourage them. What are some things would you say to them if they find themselves in a situation where they just don't know how to cope or deal with difficulties?
Yeah. If a person does not know how to cope or deal with difficulties, I say you got to pair up with somebody who can show you the way. You have to let somebody in your world. In order for somebody to lead you out of your world, you have to let them in first. I see it like this. If you see a child in a burning building, if that firefighter is going to go in there, if the firefighter is going to save the child, they're going to have to go in first and get them. So in order to learn some coping strategies and skills, and if you know that you don't have them, be vulnerable enough to allow somebody in that world, whether or not you're pairing up with a life coach, a counselor, or your pastor, but somebody that you can say, look, this is who I am, this is where I've been.
Right.
Because if you pull the layers back, if we're talking about a person who just participate in chronic cheating, if you pull the layers back and they really let you see, you're going to find some stuff that they're not proud of. And you're going to find shame. Shame is very debilitating. Shame tells you that something is wrong with you. So when you got that message in your head that something is wrong, you just continue to live up to that expectation.
Right, because you want to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's the brain. That's the message in your head. The message that's in your head, and it's very familiar. That behavior is familiar, and usually we'll resort to what we're used to doing. And sometimes when we participate in a behavior like sexual, if you're promiscuous and just sleeping with a person after another person, you're really trying to fill a void.
Right, and it's a void because you're empty, because you haven't figured out what you want in life. And the biggest thing that I always see now, that conflict. We don't know how to deal with conflict. When we come back, we're going to talk about conflict resolution and how we can get in there and make some things happen.
Oh, yeah.
You guys stay tuned.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Become the new you at Cobb County Kia. Get 0% APR financing for 75 months on select new 2017 and 2018 Kia Forte, Sportage, Sorrento, and Optimus. Kia has been voted #1 in initial quality by J.D. Power for the second year in a row. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. Down payment will vary with APR and credit. For example, 0.0% APR with 25% down payment provides for 75 monthly payments of $13.33 per 1,000 finance for qualified buyers. APR finance available through KMF to qualified buyers. See dealer for complete details.
Uncle Dan?
Mom? Dad?
If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside. Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Hey guys, welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are talking with Kim Wilson, the relationship expert, and we're having some great conversation. We just talked to our men on how they have to look into themselves and, and find out what the bottom layer is. Before we get going, I want to give a shout out to Tony Brooks, Vero G, Tamika Hayes, Jay Wesley, and Ted Bear, and Anthony Rodriguez. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And Tamika says, this is very true. This information is key and important. Thank you also, and you ladies look amazing. Thank you so much, Tamika. We appreciate that. So, Kim, we were talking to our guys, and we were saying how it's important for them to really know who they are in order to be productive in a relationship. And not just with other people, but for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, with women, we carry a lot on our chest. We got that. This segment is called Super Women. So we wear that S on our chest because we think we're supposed to carry our stuff and everybody else's that is around us. What is some advice that you give to our ladies to kind of relieve or ease that load?
I like to think about it like this. If you walk into the room, say, with 5 pieces of luggage, and then you're trying to go up an escalator with all this luggage, your eyes just kind of got big.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to picture it.
And that's what it feels like over a matter of time when we just carry around emotions. It becomes emotional baggage. In order to get rid of that, it goes back to knowing yourself and what it takes to make you happy. A lot of people, they struggle with what it takes to make them happy. I think there's something called name it so you can tame it.
Right.
In order to tame anything, you want to be able to name exactly what it is that works for you. If I take myself for it as an example, what makes me happy is burning a candle. That's aromatherapy. Hydrotherapy, taking a shower or a bubble bath. Taking at least one day a week where I'm just rejuvenating, and that's downtime. That's me time. And I think as a woman, and some people may say, well, you don't understand. I have 3 kids. I have a full-time job. Well, in order for you to take care of everybody else, you have to take care of yourself first, which is why on the airplane, they'll tell you to put your own oxygen mask on before you save your 3-month-old baby.
Right. But, and I agree with you on that because a lot of times we think we have to be everything for everybody. And emotional baggage is something else. And I think that that's where a lot of us women get that tag that we're either bitter or we're angry or whatever. They just don't understand that we have not shed all that emotional stuff that has been attaching to us as we've been traveling through life. I know for myself, I had to step out of the picture and look at that person in the mirror. And I always use this analogy. I was looking at her and talking to her, but I didn't believe her. And that's a problem. When you can look in the mirror and you can't recognize you, that's a problem. So I knew that I had to step back, and I knew that all the baggage I was carrying to jump into another relationship, I had that baggage, finna get some more baggage and their baggage, and it just wasn't going to work out.
And it can become exhausting, especially if you're in a relationship with a person that they're not skilled themselves. And a lot of times we try to have relationships with people, and I'm not talking about just romantic relationships and marriages.
Any type of relationship.
Yes. A lot of times we enter into relationships and we don't have the skill set. And when I say skill set, knowing how to use those tools like love, kindness, forgiveness, patience. And when you learn to use those tools often, you become skilled at it. And when you become skilled at using those tools, those mental techniques, then you find yourself flourishing in healthy relationships with other people. And a lot of times with women, when we're walking around trying to be everything to everybody, when I say, hey, have you considered talking to somebody? A lot of times we push back because they say, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I'm not crazy. I'm not weak. What you mean talk to somebody? I'm all right.
Yeah.
We all run through that. And then the biggest thing I know with women, and I can say this because I'm a woman too, we are quick to point the finger and judge somebody so fast, and we ain't even looking at our own mess.
They say be careful when you point a finger because there's 3 more pointing right back at you.
Exactly. And I always tell people because we have secrets. Everybody says we have secrets. Don't nobody have secrets because somebody was in that mess with you. I say it all the time.
That's it.
So how do you think you have a secret? But in order for you to be able to walk into your destiny and be the great person that you are, you got to know you. And we always have to come back to who? Numero uno.
That's right.
Because like you said, when you said you have a lot of women say, I got 3 kids, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you're right, you can't help them if you can't help yourself.
And you got to schedule it, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And I am a big advocate for labeling things in the brain properly. When you label in your brain, you know what, for the next 10 minutes, even if it's 11:45 at night, this is for me. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs in a book. I'm going to listen to my favorite song, even if it's just for 10 minutes, and knowing, you know what, I did something for me.
Yeah. See, I did journaling, and I still do it. It's therapeutic for me. And that was a part of my road to redemption. I had to get into who I was, and I separated myself from trying to be in the dating scene because I was like, this is always turning out the same. So what is the problem? Well, the common denominator was me. So I had to go search myself and see what kind of nonsense are you bringing to this situation. And I'm not just talking about a one-on-one relationship with a male partner, or I'm talking about just friendship, everything. And, and I tell people now, my circle is so small, I forgot I was in it.
Oh, wait.
You know
what? What's interesting about that, when you would think the older you get, you would have all these friends as a woman. No, when we're 22 years old, we're telling each other everything.
Girl, you can't do that now.
and then something happens. I think by the time we push over 30 and started approaching 40, women, we start going through so much stuff, and then we stop sharing or reaching out for help.
Right.
We don't want people to see. We don't want people to know, and we're thinking like we're walking around with the secret, but it's really not a secret because and we stop sharing, and then and then when somebody else gets more, or
you become envious, you become jealous, and you're looking like but you don't know their shoes that they're walking in.
That's right.
And for me, I just had to step back because I was looking like, and I had a couple of people say to me, "Girl, I wish I was you." No, you don't, because these shoes right here raggedy. You don't want these. I was like, they got a whole lot of stuff with them, honey. The sole has been ran off 4 times. So I try to get people to look into themselves and be themselves. But when we come back, I'm going to get deeper into that because like I said, we women, we can be strong-willed.
Oh yeah.
We have some nonsense we got to share today, and we're gonna get on it, girls. So y'all stay tuned.
Yo, what's up? Usher.
This is Rihanna.
Yeah, it's that little Chico Pitbull, Mr. Pill Fire till I die. Listen live online. Sensation Station Network.
Hey, Brenna.
Hey, Prime.
Spring is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Love is too, and the weather makes it nice to be out with your boo on a date, unless you don't have any money.
That's so true. But what are we going to do?
The Loop is going to look out for the people because our loyal listeners look out for us on ssnatl.com, Radio Not Them Down. Now, we want you to share the good vibes with other people, those you like.
Or even the ones that you don't like because, hey, they need it too.
Plus, we got enough to go around for everybody.
Oh, so share and share alike?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say,
you know what to do.
Tell them we on so you can get this quick trip gift card right around the city, $2.85, $75, $85, top down, wind blowing your hair back, and the gas is on us. And maybe some treats too. So do this.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say, tell them we on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. when you're inside the Loop with Sean Prime and Brennan B.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Attention, licensed financial professionals. Are you looking to provide client solutions for longevity risks, withdrawal rate risks, and sequence of return risks? If you answered yes, then Game Plan Financial Marketing could be right for you. We help financial professionals at every level of production by providing mentoring, sales training, and marketing support to help you grow your business. At Game Plan, our top priority is supporting you and helping you reach that next level of success on your terms, not ours. New team members receive a personalized step-by-step marketing guide to help take your business to the next level. Claim your copy today. Call Brian Cantrell at 404-889-6317. That's 404-889-6317. Offer is intended for licensed insurance professionals only.
Sensation Station Network.
Say about that.
Welcome back. This is the part of the show where we usually take a moment out and say a prayer to everyone out there that's experiencing some difficult times in their lives, who have lost loved ones, or just in a funk and just don't know where to go. I always like to say that we're praying with you, and for those of you that aren't faith-based, I want you to look into yourselves and dig deep and write out what it is that is vexing you, that's causing you the problem, and then sit down and figure out a way to solve it. You can also connect yourself with a therapist or somebody that's in that field if you're not faith-based. But those of you that do believe in God and do believe He is the one that can lead and guide you, I want to make sure that you continually to prayer, because He doesn't bring you somewhere to leave you. You know, I always say God doesn't bring me this far to leave me. I also want to say, you guys, please keep my family in prayer, my brother Mike and his family, we had our wake for our niece Tweet yesterday, and they're taking her home to bury her in Florida, and they're going to do a homegoing service there at Tabernacle Enlightened Church of God in Orlando. So you guys keep him in prayer as they travel down the highway, and just know that life is too short to hold grudges, and know that we here at Destiny Talk Live, we're praying with you.
Use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Do you love great-fitting jeans with trendy styles? Go to wristdenim.com and check out their fabulous form-fitting premium denim jeans, sizes 1 to 24. Their accurate size charts are designed to make your online shopping experience easier, offering free shipping and no hassle returns because their motto is, you should look your hottest at all times. Wristdenim.com, jeans for beautiful women. If you want to stand out in a crowd, get your jeans today at wristdenim.com.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to Destiny Talk Live. If you're just joining us, we have relationship expert in the house, Kim Wilson, and she's helping us decipher love and everything else that's going on with ourselves. So if you're just joining us and you're listening to us on Facebook, if you want to be a part of the conversation, go ahead, type your comment in the comment section. We'll read it out loud on the air, and then we'll discuss it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part, you can text or call your comments into 678-613-5857. I want to give a big shout out to William Thomas and Doreen Carter and Brenna B. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And as we were, I told you we'll read it out loud. One of our guests, Ted, he says what we're talking about, he said is very true. It's like the kettle calling the pot black. Treat me the way you want me to be treated. I refuse and demand respect. I wouldn't want nothing to interfere with my thrive for success. If you don't want to ride this train to success, then go your merry way. Don't deceive me and don't lie to me. And I once was told that it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So it's true, I don't want to be a rabbit if somebody got a gun and chasing me, but he is so on point. It's just like what you were saying earlier. You have to bring people into your circle that are like-minded, because if you don't, then you're going to have all this mass confusion. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about our families. If the heads of the household, talking about the husband and the wife, and they have children, or if you're a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever your situation is, and you have children around, if you're not connected and you're not bringing positive energy, what does that do to the children?
Absolutely. I always tell people, when you have children, keep in mind, what happens is your life turns into a classroom. Okay? From the moment you give birth, so everything you do, they will do.
Right.
When children are 3 years old, if you touch your nose, they'll touch their nose. Mm-hmm. If you smile, they'll smile. And if they don't see you smiling often and you're always angry or sad, children can learn to be depressed at the age of 6.
And I'm glad you said that, because you hear a lot of people, they're little, they don't know. You correct the behavior when they're little. Because at 2 years old, if they're showing, or even 1, if they're showing bad behavior already and doing things is not right, you need to correct it then. Don't laugh. Don't think it's cute. Because when they get older and they doing this, it's not going to be cute. So you have to teach them, and that people think that you can't teach kids that young. You can. You absolutely can.
And they certainly, they can feel the energy. They can, I always say, just even the way they hear the adults talk to one another, because your behavior will take on the energy of your language.
Right. It will, because, if you look at some of these videos that people put out, and there's this one little girl, she's probably about maybe 5 or 6, and she's already rough in the way she talks. She's like, yeah, and did my child support come in? What are you talking about at child support at 6? And then you're videotaping it, and you think it's funny, and you're laughing in the background. But
yeah. I remember years ago when I was working in a school setting, and 2 little boys, they probably are around 9 years old. They got into a little tussle, and this one little boy, he pinned the little boy down on the floor, and he had him down with one of his hands around his neck, and the other fist was drawn back, and it was shaking. I said, wait a minute, that's too much anger for one little boy to have. He saw that somewhere. And, with a little bit more digging, it was true. there was some domestic violence going on in the home, he was only repeating
what he
saw. Yes.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to talk about this stuff. You know, you find a lot in the news. You hear about these little elementary school students, these little girls in the bathroom running trains and doing things they ain't got no business. They didn't seen that somewhere. And people tell me I'm crazy, but they didn't seen it somewhere. We're going to talk about how we can get them out of that and why they think that that's the right way to do. We'll talk about it. You guys don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to get deep into this thing called relationship.
Sensation Station Network.
Say about that.
Great fitting jeans with trendy styles? Go to wristdenim.com and check out their fabulous form-fitting premium denim jeans, sizes 1 to 24. Their accurate size charts are designed to make your online shopping experience easier, offering free shipping and no hassle returns because their motto is, you should look your hottest at all times. Wristdenim.com, jeans for beautiful women. If you want to stand out in a crowd, get your jeans today at wristdenim.com.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Hey, become the new you at Cobb County Kia. We still have 0% for 75 months on Optima, Forte, Sorrento, and Sportage. We also have that 90-minute guarantee. So this is what you do. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. 90-minute guarantee by appointment only. Purchase must be on in-stock unit. 90-minute guarantee based on original customer agreement to terms dependent on credit. Lending of $500 will be paid by check once the loan is funded by lending institution or may be deducted from the price of the car, whichever customer chooses. See dealer for details.
So this is what you do. Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And lead the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
What's a dumb way to listen to an awesome mix of urban hits? Smart Home.
Sensation Station Network.
Too much sauce.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Kim Wilson here. She is the relationship expert, and I want to give a big shout out to Bonita Suzette and Jamie Jackson Harold, Ronald Scarlett, Dwayne Cox, Travis Evans. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know, if you're just joining us, we're talking about relationships, not just with your spouses or friends, but with yourself, because it's important. You got to start with numero uno in order to move forward. So on the break, you and I were talking about these kids are like sponges, and they mimic what they see. And these little girls that get caught in the bathrooms, either, you know, performing certain things to young boys or having trains ran on them. And I was saying it's because they didn't seen it somewhere.
Absolutely. I think supervision, we can't get away from that. Children have to be supervised. If you give a child a phone, you have to put the parental block so they're not just watching any and everything. Right. It's just like allowing your child to just go roam the street, walk up their neighborhood, and just walk anywhere they want to. They cannot just roam anywhere they want to on the internet. And the other thing is, now I used to think when I was younger and my parents, you know, they weren't always saying yes to me spending a night everywhere. Right. The reason why is they cannot, everybody is not going to supervise you the same way your parents will. Right. And sometimes when we get into spending a night with other people, you're seeing things that you may not normally see in your home. Right. And when you see something, you cannot unsee it.
Right. You know, mine didn't do a whole lot of spending the night over people's houses. Now, you can come to mine, but they weren't going there. And the biggest thing we talked about, too, is video games, movies, the music. A lot of times our parents are wanting to say that these kids, because they don't know how to deal with conflict or they don't know how to deal with things that are going on, they either can commit suicide or they go out killing folks, is because it's the video game's fault and it's the television's fault. It's the rap artist or whoever's fault. And I just don't, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it is the responsibility of the parent to monitor all of that. I do believe there's a certain amount of social responsibility when you decide, when life has given you a platform,
how you use it.
Right.
I agree.
And especially if you have influence, if you know you have a lot of people following you, then I think it is socially responsible to use that influence in a way that's impactful and not harmful to your fellow human being.
I agree with you on that. But, you know, we've got a lot of folks, and if we're honest with one another, they blame all that on there. They don't take responsibilities for whatever. And you can't do that. It's just like you're sending your kid. I used to tell people I'm not a book bag parent. And what that means is I didn't send my kids to school with the book pack and left it up to the teacher or the administrators to decide how they were going to teach my kids or what they were going to do, because I might not like what they teaching them. So I did drive-bys. So they knew that Miss Cherry was going to show up, and you just didn't know when she was going to show up. I just might float in the classroom. And I tell people, I'm not checking up on just my kids. I'm checking up on you, too, because I need to make sure that you're doing the right thing. You know, and yes, I was a single parent, 3 kids, worked full-time and everything else, but there was nothing too important or too great for me not to make sure that my kids were safe.
Yeah. You know, I think we can't get away from communication. Communication is the most used activity in life. We're either going to use it verbally, non-verbally, with our gestures, or it's going to be in written form, like using the internet, texting. I think when we sit down and we make sure that we are the teachers to our children, we don't rely on actors and rappers and entertainers to be their teachers. We're their first teacher.
Right. Because, look, I used to tell mine all the time, I carried you for 9 months. I got the war wounds proof. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to leave it for nobody else to do. But the thing was, we would have round table. We talked about our day. And that was very important to me. Because growing up, we didn't do a lot of that. You know, I come from a big family. We didn't do all of that. But I made sure that me and my kids did that. You know, and I left an open forum that they were free to talk to me. And I wasn't quick to judge. You know, and they were able to tell me, hey, Mom, I don't agree, or Mom, I think you were wrong. I was okay to hear that, because one thing I didn't do was lie to them. I didn't try to wear that Puritan hat and the lily white dress that I didn't do nothing. No, if I was trifling about something, I told them, yeah, I was trifling. That's why you need to go back and read that book, because you ain't read it right. That's not what I wrote in there, you know. But I think the reason why our relationship is great is because I was open enough for that. You know, and I also tell people, step away from social media sometimes. Shut the phone down. You need to have family time.
Yes.
You got to talk, because we don't talk anymore. You know, our talk is texting or email.
Yeah. Somebody's upstairs and you're saying, come downstairs. You know, I taught a divorce education class for 2 years, and these were classes where they were court ordered to go to a class like that just so they can separate amicably. Oh, that word didn't come out right, but
we got
nicely. And one of the biggest things, parents, they were not talking. So if you don't talk, you can't co-parent in the right way. And I always say the reason why that's important, because there's always somebody looking inside your life and seeing where the breakdown is and who's missing. And once somebody identifies that somebody is missing, they go, you know, and then that's how you can also find little girls in the bathroom doing something they're not supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody is always looking for the breakdown and see how they can fill in. You
know, and I like to look at it, too. You see these kids out here doing stuff to animals. Guys, that stuff ain't funny. It's not normal. Putting firecrackers in dogs' mouths or in their behinds, or throwing a dog. I saw one the other day, a little kid threw a puppy. Puppy wasn't doing nothing to him, but threw it in a lake with a whole bunch of alligators and watched the alligators eat them up. And I'm like, well, why are we putting this stuff out here?
Yeah, and when I hear something like that, I say that's information.
Yeah.
So either there's a chemical imbalance in that kid, you know, or there's something terribly going on the home front.
You know, a lot of it is both. And I want to give a big shout out to Nicole Ellis and Big Irv, for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, I always say you got to take it back. You got to take it back and sit down and talk. Like we said, people don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know what that is because we got these phones, we got these tablets. I mean, what I like, and I always use family and myself because I'm very transparent. What I like about what my daughter does with my granddaughter, yes, my granddaughter can work her tablet like nobody's business. She's 4. She know how to get on there, but they have parental guides on it, pull her movies up, do whatever, and she'll tell me, Gammy, no, that's how you do this. But they also spend time. They put that down. They go do family outings. They do stuff. She's a full-time student and a parent. Her husband's in the military, same thing. But they're never too tired to take time up with their daughter and her brother when he's in town, the grandson. So they all sit down and have that family time. And I like to think that is great when because I did that with them. I mean, they didn't, their dad and I, they got divorced. We got divorced early, but it was important for us to do stuff. We did ghetto karaoke jam. We did, we would dress up, put the wigs, everything. You had to be a part of it. We did family night, whatever it was. We did it together. I took time out. And yes, I was a single parent. But it was nothing. I mean, I think I missed, my oldest daughter played a lot of sports. I think I missed 2 of her games, and I felt like the world had ended. But I took that time. So what do you say to when you have parents or people to come up to you and say, I don't have time to do all that. I got this to do.
I say if you don't make time now, you'll find yourself making time later, either at the hospital, in a courthouse. When somebody calls you at 3 a.m. and say, ma'am, sir, you'll make time then.
Right.
So,
and then they want to be mad. But who are you mad at? Who are you mad at when your kid or somebody does something, my mother used to tell us when we were growing up, she said, all right, now, you can go out there, commit a crime, steal, do whatever you want to. Don't call me to bail you out. I'll bring you a soap on the rope, and I may put some money on your books, but that's a big maybe. So, and she meant that thing, too. But kids now, there's no fear. They ain't scared of you. Yeah. Because we trying to be their friends.
And you cannot be friends with a child when that child becomes an adult, because the playing field is not even leveled for you to be friends with a child. It's not leveled.
What do you say to parents or people that come to you and say, well, I want to give them their space. I want them to feel, well, they don't need no space. I may be, but I'm just saying, what do you say when parents tell you that?
So I like to say, well, what does that space look like?
Okay.
Let's just kind of break that down a little bit, because sometimes too much space is a harmful thing, because that space has to be supervised.
Right.
You can't just put a toddler in their own space in the bathroom and leave the room.
Right. You got to be there to supervise, make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, and so over time we start, allowing them to bathe themselves and then kind of step out and then come back and then say, okay, you got it. So you have to be completely sure that they have it. And if space means, okay, them hanging out in their bedroom to calm down for a little bit, okay. All right. But I like to say, well, tell me what you mean when you say space. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, because I listen and I hear people say that, and I'm looking at them like, that ain't nobody, like I've had friends say, oh, yeah, she was talking back and slammed the door and told me, get out of my room. Wait, first of all, you don't have a room. You ain't paying no rent here. My mother would take the doors off the hinges, baby. It was like, what you talking about privacy? I got privacy for you, But I understand times have changed. But I think big conflict is we don't have accountability anymore. Our kids don't have accountability, and they don't know what that is. They don't know what responsibility is, and they don't know what conflict resolution is. And we're going to get deeper into that, because I think we should give some information to our parents and people out there in general how to deal with all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
So you guys stay tuned.
The world is changing.
And we are change.
Sensation Station Network.
Radio of Dumbbell.
You cannot let a fear of failure, or a fear of comparison, or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what you do.
Let's talk about destiny. Destiny Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is your girl Cherry G with Destiny Talk Live. If you are just joining us, we are talking to Kim Wilson. She is a relationship expert, and we've been having some great conversation this afternoon. We've been talking about how men should heal, women should heal, how we can face family crises and issues, and we're going to get deeper into that. If you are listening to us on Facebook and you want to be a part of the conversation, go ahead, type your comment in the comment section. We'll read it out loud, and then we'll discuss it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text or call to 678-613-5857. So now, Kim, we're coming back full circle to our men, okay? So we got on them the first half. We let them know that they got to start layering and shedding all that nonsense and excuses, and how they should be better stewards of their own life. You know, because I always say that no one knows you better than you.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I have to question that statement, because do we?
Well, you know what? So that's kind of, sometimes we can believe some things about ourselves that's not true.
Okay.
Which is why it's so wonderful to be in a healthy relationship, somebody who will tell you the truth.
Okay.
So who can offer you a fresh perspective. You know, so sometimes when we are unbalanced and we're going through something, it's almost like we're looking at our experience with a pair of shades on.
Okay. I like that with a pair, because it's clouded.
It's clouded,
You know,
yes.
so we can't really see the actual light because it's dim because of all the nonsense that the layers of nonsense we're trying to get through.
Yes.
I really like that. I like that analogy, because so we have a gentleman, okay? Let's talk about our men who are in relationships that go astray and they have children. All right, so, and they break away from the wife or the girlfriend or whoever it is. What are some things that you talk with them about on how they can still be productive parents, a parent to their child, even though their mother, the child's mother, or them don't get along?
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult, but I say, you know what? I suggest that you go to that mother, and sometimes the reason why that hurt and pain lingers for years because they didn't hear two words, and those words are forgive me.
Okay.
I mean, that person was left with a lot of hurt and pain, and a lot of times men don't always know how much hurt and pain was left behind when they left that relationship.
Right.
And I see a lot of people who struggle in life, and they struggle because they never really got over a particular relationship.
Yeah, see, for me, it wasn't so much that. I didn't talk bad about my ex-husband or anything to the kids, because first of all, that was too much energy I just didn't have to give, you know. And then second, I wanted them to be able to have the relationship they wanted to have with him on their own, because their relationship and he and I relationship are two different ones. So I learned early and young that I didn't have time to be putting you down, because I had to get myself going. And if I'm sitting here constantly berating you, what am I teaching my kids about me?
Right.
You know, so I didn't do it. And I try to tell a lot of our young ladies out there, and I want to talk about it too with our men. I never went through my ex-husband's cell phone. I didn't go looking up in the email. I didn't do any of that stuff, because my thing is, if you're looking for something and you find it, why are you mad?
Yeah, trust. So here's the thing about trust. I like to think about it like this. The story of the 3 little pigs. The only house that didn't burn down was the house made of bricks. Trust is like the bricks in your relationship.
Okay.
If you don't have it, it's not going to thrive. You know, you're building something that's made of straw and wood.
It's imaginary, as I call it.
Right, yeah. And it may not even be the other person. If you find yourself with trust issues, even though this person has not done anything, well, then that means you had an experience, or there was a person in your life that created this concept in your head that you can't trust somebody. You know, that's where that comes from, especially if this person hasn't given you a reason.
Yeah, because I'm guilty of that. I think everybody is guilty of it, because I would be one if I thought it was the same thing. It was deuces. I see you later. You got deleted, and I was going about my business. So I had to, and that's why I told you I had to step back and say, what is wrong? Let me see who the common denominator is. That was this hot mess over here. So, you know, a lot of us don't want to believe we the hot messes in the situation. You guys don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk more about how you could be productive with yourself.
Sensation Network.
How that we have your attention.
Knock them down. Was real?
Yeah, it was.
Radio. Knock them down. Sensation Station Network. Radio to Atlanta.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ. And he'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Sensation Station Network.
This is my Mac Daddy vibe I'm giving you in all of its splendor. What's up?
Hi, this this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And lead the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Welcome back, everybody, to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your girl, Cherry G, and we're talking to Kim Wilson. She's in the house. She's a relationship expert. I met Kim out at the Women in Power Summit for Black Enterprise out in Orlando, which was an awesome, awesome event. Yeah. And we had a conversation, and I asked her to come on into the station and talk with us. So if you are just joining us and you're on Facebook and you want to be a part of the conversation, go ahead, type your comment in the comment section. We'll read it out loud, and then we'll discuss it. If you are listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part, all you have to do is text or call to 678-613-5857. And I want to give a big shout out to Andre Tate. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, Kim.
Yes?
We were talking about, us being in our own mess and finding out that we need to let go of some baggages because we thinking everybody wrong, right? So when is it healthy? Like I get a lot of guys, and it's unfortunate we got this domestic violence thing going on. They're thinking that in order to shut her up or to show her that you made me mad is to put their hands on her. Mm-hmm. But you got women out there that they say that provoke the men by wanting to fight with them. What are some of the things that you talk to people, or have you ran into a situation where you had a domestic violence piece that you had to talk to the man or the woman about it? What were some of the things that you helped them see what was wrong about it?
I remember the first time I had a client, actually, it was a male, and he was court ordered to do counseling, and it was because of domestic violence. And when we started to do some of that emotional work, it was a pattern that he was following because he saw it in the house that he grew up in. And when I hear that, I hear the absence of love. Mm-hmm. Because when there is love, you won't use your human hands to strike someone. You would use your hands to embrace them.
Right.
And that's what it goes back to. In order to even hang out in a relationship and stay in a relationship where there's domestic violence, that means for that other person, there's something that they don't love about themselves. I'm afraid something is better than nothing. So I'll just take this something right here.
Yeah, that's a dangerous way to live because some of them take that something and then they're not breathing after a while. You get what I'm saying? So it is what I'm seeing in this world, and what I'm seeing now is we have to get back down to families. We have to get back down to communicating, and we have to shed those layers. Close those chapters in our lives that we haven't closed. I know for me in my journey, there was a lot of things that I had that I had to let go. I had to go back in and dig it out, past hurts, past things that happened, childhood, adulthood. And then as I started to think about it, I was like, wait a minute. I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. This wasn't my fault, but it took me a long time to realize that some of that stuff wasn't my fault. And, I always say to your parents, you think your kids don't see or hear or know, but they do.
Yeah, and I always say, what? It's very simple. I always refer to love as the answer because it will save you. I remember when I was a child watching Sanford and Son. When you think about all the children and families that used to watch Sanford and Son, there were a lot of things going on in there that people on that show that people laughed about. Like Fred Sanford, he will always call Lamont, "You big dummy, you idiot." And you had an audience full of people laughing at a father calling a son a dummy.
And they thought that was great.
Yeah, name calling. And when name calling goes on in the house, you have mothers and daughters where we have reached a point calling one another bees and whores. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute, that's not love.
Right.
And by the time we start hanging out in relationships and keeping people close, that's because I'm used to somebody not loving me. I'm used to somebody mistreating me. I'm used to the name calling. That doesn't mean anything. It's
It
just
means
a
a whole
name.
lot because it's still tearing you down.
It gets messages created in the head.
And see, that was something I did not allow in my house, and I did not call my kids dumb. I didn't call them stupid. I didn't call them anything but their name. Now, if I used all three of their names, they first, they middle, and they last, they knew we had a problem. But other than that, no, I didn't do any of that. I didn't compare them to one another or anything. And if I heard them calling each other names, we had a problem. So we didn't grow up with that. We me and my kids didn't do that because, I understand what that is, that damaging it is to be calling out names. But you got guys that are out here, they've seen their fathers or mothers in relationship with, where it's not even their dad, it's boyfriends that are inflicting this nonsense or behavior. How do you deal with that?
I always tell people, especially if you are somebody, you're dating somebody outside of the original parent, for whatever reason that relationship didn't work out. When you make a decision to date and you have children, you should not date anybody you don't want your son or daughter dating.
Right. Well, but if you don't know who you are, you're gonna pick up that. And then another thing that's big to me, I want to talk about these men here that come in and it's not anything that's new, guys. This has been happening since the beginning of time, but it's now starting to come to the forefront with this Me Too. You got these men that get mad at the woman, wife, girlfriend, whatever, and they take it out on the kids. Either they hurt them, beat them, spank them, or sexually molest them. Have you ran into stuff like that where you had to counsel men who have been accused of that kind of stuff?
Accused of it and it wasn't true, or
accused of it that it was true?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe as a family, we really can get through anything. We can rehabilitate families. And if that's the case, and if you are somebody who has perpetrated, what that means is once you get your help, you may not be able to, you may have to just love this person from a distance.
Right.
Because it's too traumatic for you to be up close and personal.
Right.
Yeah, and the first part of that is ownership. You cannot change anything you do not own or acknowledge.
Right.
And sometimes before we can get through anything, what I run into, and some of the men that I have treated, because they were court ordered, there was a lot of denial. And I want people to understand, too, denial is a coping mechanism. People will use denial and avoidance. Avoidant behavior is just avoiding it altogether. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah. So, because I'm seeing these fathers that come up on some of the social media and different things that you catch. And like this one father had 2 teenage daughters where he fathered kids from them, 16-year-old. They had the baby shower and chilling and everything. What kind of nonsense is that? I mean, is it something that you found out that is either they saw that happening in their childhood or is it a mental chemical imbalance? What is that?
Sometimes it's all of that. And I always say, if you know right from wrong, because some people say they knew what was going on. If you know right from wrong and you still choose wrong, then something's not right. You're not well, my brother. You're not well, my sister.
Right.
Because you know right from wrong, and you mean to tell me you still chose wrong?
Right.
That's not right.
See, and I like to get clarification on that kind of stuff because you like you said, you have a lot of men and people that hide behind that kind of stuff. And so I just want to make sure that we put it out on the table that we see you. There's nothing that you can hide behind to say and justify the nonsense that you're doing. And these women that are sitting by watching this stuff happen and be like, it's okay.
Yeah, no.
I got problems with that.
And what children need in childhood, one of the biggest, not only do they need love, they need safety. They need to feel safe and protected. And when somebody does not feel safe or protected, there's an absence of love because now fear comes in.
And it's not even that. They can either turn into one or two ways if a child has been violated or anything, or they become abusive themselves, or they just become very depressed and reclusive. They do things that aren't positive to do. And so let's talk to our men. Say you've had a man that where, let's flip the script, the woman was the violator, the woman did something. They're not, like, let's take this young man who didn't have custody of his daughter, and the daughter wanted to stay with him, and he took her, the child protective failed her, took it back, and then the mother and the boyfriend killed her. How do you cope, or how do you deal with a man with that? How do you talk to them about that?
You mean if
just how to deal with other men in their child's life, how can they keep that bad situation from happening?
I always like to take a look at the origin,
Okay.
where everything started, because I think you have to understand what you learned, how you learned it,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of we work our way from there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, and just really picking up our tools
Mm-hmm.
to talk about it. Communication is a tool, so we can kind of really get in there to see what went wrong.
So I hear what you're saying is that they need to communicate, both parents, whether you're married or not married. You got a child, communicate.
Yeah, because the thing is, part of that communication process, when you bring in another mate, you have to communicate about the discipline process.
Okay.
I mean, people don't think about that until something happens, and then the person is like, okay, look, I know we're not together. I just want to put discipline on the table. I prefer you and I stick to the discipline. We don't
Right.
allow, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah. See, I didn't. We didn't have a problem because I didn't bring nobody around. I mean, I just think when people bring multiple people into their kids' life, that's reckless. You have to be careful that this is something that you really want to do. I want to give a shout out to Vernon Nixon all the way out in Kuwait. Thank you so much. We have a live shout out that we're going to do on the street with B. Boville. She's one of our co-hosts here with Destiny Talk Live. So, B, are you on the phone? Hey, can you hear me, B? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, well, we're having some difficulty. We'll get her on the line in a minute. But you're right. When I was saying, and when you have these relationships and you keep bringing people in and out, that's also something that's teaching the kids a not so positive outlook on things.
Yeah, and one of the things you got to keep in mind too, every time you bring a new person, anytime somebody come through your life, I do believe they teach you something, but you have to pay attention to see what that is.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing to that is when you bring new people in your life, they can come with a certain energy. And and sometimes you can have some personality changes and not even know it, and that impacts your relationship with your children.
Right.
Because your children have to be able to trust that you are going to make the right decision and bring the right person
into their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be consistent. I mean, if you ain't getting along, why are you going to bring them around your kids? Mm-hmm. I personally think that time should pass before anybody should be brought into a child's life, your child's life. I just think you need to know if that's somebody that you want around and it's going to stick around and that y'all have something in common. But until then, I wouldn't bring it around. All right, so we have B. Baville on the street. Can you hear me, B?
Yep, I can hear you. And today we have LA from Black Ink, Atlanta. And LA, what is your version of a healthy relationship? What are two things that consists of?
What's up? So it's LA OG_FaceTime on Instagram from Black Ink. So the first thing I think is the most important thing in a healthy relationship is not being judged by your partner. Just being who you are, being your own happy self, and then that person being their own happy self and being able to put that together. I think the main thing to me is just not being judged though, because I'm a different type of person. You're going to meet different type of people through life, and everybody expects when you get into a relationship, that person got to be who you are or adjust to who you are. Just accept me for me and don't judge me for what I want to do or what I like to do, as long as it's not destructive to who I am or who you are. I think that's, to me, the most important part. The second part is, I want to talk to my homie, Pink Addict Tro. He's going to talk to you about it, a little sex. Because I think the sex part is the main, aside from that, I think that's the main thing that you need in your relationship for it to be strong. So, Tro?
I thank
All
you.
Right,
and thank you for that. Go ahead, B.
Okay, and next up we have Tro from Black Ink as well. And Tro, what are your aspects of a healthy relationship?
Simple. Healthy sexual relationship equals a healthy relationship. There it is.
All right, and thank you so much for your time today, guys. I really appreciate it. And Sherry, back to you.
All right, thank you guys for participating. So there we go, Kim. We're going to come back and talk about that. You guys stay tuned.
And as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults have unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hey, Brenna.
Hey, Prime.
Spring is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Love is too, and the weather makes it nice to be out with your boo on a date, unless you don't have any money.
That's so true. But what are we going to do?
The Loop is going to look out for the people, because our loyal listeners look out for us on ssnatl.com, radio not come down. Now, we want you to share the good vibes with other people, those you like.
Or even the ones that you don't like, because, hey, they need it too.
Plus, we got enough to go around for everybody.
Oh, so share and share alike?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say,
you know what to do.
Tell them we on, so you can get this quick trip gift card right around the city, 285, 75, 85, top down, wind blowing your hair back, and the gas is on us. And maybe some treats too, so do this.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say, tell them we on, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. when you're inside the loop with Sean Prime and Brenna B.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the app.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Hey guys, welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. If you're listening to us now, we're here with Kim Wilson, who is our relationship expert. If you're just joining us and you want to be a part of the conversation and you are on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll read it out loud. If you're on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part of the conversation, it's 678-613-5857. Big shout out to Todd Robinson. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I want to give a big shout out to Beaverville out there in the streets getting the public's view on healthy relationship. And thanks to Black Ink on VH1, you guys can check your local listings to get a part of that. So, our guys from Black Ink was talking about what they felt was part of a healthy relationship. And they said sex was very important.
Yes, I think intimacy is an important part of a relationship, your romantic relationship. And it's kind of like, it really bothers me when when they struggle with talking about intimacy. If you're participating in it, I think we should be able to talk about it. And I think the way we talk about it with our children helps them along the way too. Mm-hmm. I really don't like when people give it pet names like when I say it, meaning the vagina. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But JJ in private, excuse me, say the right name.
Be real with it. But that's a term of where our society is right now because we're uncomfortable about certain things. And all the mess that we got going on, we're afraid to say the word. Yes, we got issues.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to have a really great, honest conversation with your partner about what's pleasurable, what's painful. I mean, I think you should be able to do that.
Well, let me ask you this, too, because you got a lot of people that they'll do a whole lot to get this person, whether it's a man or female. But I'm going to talk about the women right now because this is where we are.
Okay.
We'll do all these backflips, all this stuff that we going to do and get the man as soon as we got him. Get that ring or we don't get a ring, but we got him. All of a sudden, we can't do that no more. That's a problem.
Yeah. And I think when that happens, we don't have a great relationship with sex. And I think part of that that goes back to knowing yourself. And, it may be a medical reason or it may be something it may be emotional or just a behavior. Mm-hmm. But I think that goes back to, you can't get away from love, communication, and knowing yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I always tell people, whatever you did to get that person in your life, that's what you have to do to keep them.
That's right.
You got to continue to date. I don't care how long you've been married, how long you've been going out. You got to date. You still got to go out on dates. You got to, if you were buying them candy and flowers and stuff just because, keep doing that.
That's right.
Keep doing it.
If anything is to live, it must be nurtured.
Because you have to, you said you've been married 11 years. Mm-hmm. Every day isn't roses. you guys don't love each other every day. Y'all have fallouts, but when people can be real with that and know that we can bounce from whatever the situation is, you're not going to like the person every day. You're not. But you know how to fix whatever is a disconnect. You know how to come and talk about it and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this because this was going on. And if you don't have that in your relationship, do you have a relationship?
Exactly. And, you know, I think even when there's a disagreement, respect is love. You know,
there you go.
You know, and you can, you know, if you're not at your job cutting up, when your supervisor or your manager or director corrects you, and if you take that correction and just go on so you can get your paycheck, because sometimes we'll treat people outside of our home better than the people that's inside of
yes,
our
ma'am,
home.
and that's a no-no. That is a no-no. But, you know, I always like to tell people, you know, yeah, I've been divorced for a long time. All right, so, and it's no secret with that. But I'm not so shut down and closed off on love that I don't know that you have to reinvent the wheel all the time. You all have to keep it alive. You know, if you were wearing the sexy lingerie and you need to continue to do that.
Yes, whatever it took to get them, you need to continue that. And, you know, and sometimes it's just the small things. We stop saying yes, please, and thank you.
What? Girl, yeah, and then before the dude couldn't even get his plate because you were fixing it up and doing everything. Now you be like, you better go in the kitchen and get your own stuff. You can't do that.
Yeah, you know, and I think when there's a balance in the relationship, it's not going to matter who fixed the sweet tea.
Right.
You know,
right.
As long as there's a yes and a please or thank you behind,
right.
That's it.
You know, and just treat them like you want to be treated. I want to give a big shout out to Helen Chavez. Thank you for tuning in. You know, our women here, we always like to say we don't bring happenings from an old relationship into a new one, but we can't come in like forceful. Like, yeah, I ain't gonna do this, I ain't gonna do that, we gonna do this. Well, why are you in a relationship?
Yeah. So when I hear that, I hear the imbalance.
Okay.
There's something going on with that thought process, and we got to take a look at that. It's like, where did you get that from? Why do you feel that way? Why are you so on the fence? Like almost if you are offended. And whenever you are offended, you can't see things clearly.
Right. So let me ask you this too, because you do have, and I find, and it's not just our younger generation, and I don't want to say that. It's all women. It's in our just women. We think love is a ring. We think love is a new car. We think love is a new purse, or he bought me this, or he paid for this. We think that's love. What is that problem? Why is that a problem?
Yeah. So when you think about your love language and how you learned what love looked like, and I think that's when you got to take it back to your bringing, how you were raised and what you saw as a child, because some people, their love language is, if you buy me something, that means you love me.
Okay.
Some people,
so it's reinforcement. They're looking at object as a symbol of love versus love itself.
Especially if that's how they were taught and that was their experience.
Because, you know, I've heard women say, I got to have a big ring. And I've never understood that.
Yeah.
I've never understood what, because my thing is that ring is not going to be there when you need somebody to talk to. That ring can't talk back to you. That ring can't comfort you when you're in the need to be comforted. So why would you put that pressure on someone? Hold on, and don't answer that yet.
Okay.
I want you to answer it when we come back. You guys, you're listening to Destiny Talk Live. And again, we want y'all to join this conversation. We're having a great talk with Miss Wilson here. Thank you for tuning in.
Text us with your shout-outs and requests to 678-665-8557. Radio, knock them down.
Hey, become the new you at Cobb County Kia. We still have 0% for 75 months on Optima, Forte, Sorrento, and Sportage. We also have that 90-minute guarantee. So this is what you do. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. 90-minute guarantee by appointment only. Purchase must be on in-stock unit. 90-minute guarantee based on original customer agreement to terms dependent on credit. Lending of $500 will be paid by check once the loan is funded by lending institution or may be deducted from the price of the car, whichever customer chooses. See dealer for details.
So this is what you do.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a
I
cold
want to be
day.
a football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle.
Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Hi, I'm Viola Davis. Did you know that 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger? Growing up, I was one of those kids, but we can solve this. When we make breakfast happen for kids in our neighborhood, we have the power to end childhood hunger, create bigger, brighter school days, and healthier minds and bodies. Go to hungeris.org and lend your time or your voice.
We're hungry for more.
A message from the Albertsons Companies Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is the part of the show where we give our birthday shout-outs to all our babies born on this day. So I want to give a big shout-out to Darius Wall, Lorraine Sonia Deremy, Tarvin Cook, Frederick Daniels, Juan Quiones, Michael Wood, Bobby Howard, Felicia Johnson Robinson, Barbara Mills, and Maurice Whitmore. If you guys are out there celebrating a birthday, I want you to turn up, but turn up safe. Have a good time and have one for me. And before I go, just one more birthday shout out to DJ Rob.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you gonna do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
and get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
Hey guys, welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We're here talking with Kim Wilson, the relationship expert. And before the break, we were talking about having the big ring and being married. And if you didn't get the big ring, that they don't love you so much. And so one of our guests, Ted Bear, said the big ring coming from Badcock, if it ain't true love, straight from the heart and the soul. You know what? I'm a little mad at him because what Badcock furniture store?
Yes.
Did they sell jewelry in Babcock? I don't think they did.
I don't recall.
But you know, it is, and it is something because, like we were talking off the air, Prima said that it's instilled in them that if you love a woman, you got to get them a big ring.
Yeah, I think when we start, what happens is we get it confused out the gate when we do that because we're starting to connect the worth of the relationship to an object.
Right, and a dollar amount.
Yes.
Because
yes.
first of all, I've seen people that go and do these big elaborate weddings and maybe married probably 4 months or 6 or a year later they unreconcilable differences. Come on, man. You done spent $25,000 on a wedding.
Yeah.
And all that. Mm-mm.
And what they wanted from the beginning is, I want you to see me. Look, everybody, I want you to see me. I want you to see how big I can do it.
Right.
You know?
Or he loves me because he got me. That ain't
Yeah.
love, baby. That's not love, you know.
Mhm.
And he going upside your head. What is that movie Tyler Perry had where the daughter, is it Angry Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
I think I get the titles confused.
Yeah, I don't know, but where the
mhm.
daughter, the mother wanted her to marry this dude, even though who was it? Blair Underwood was playing the part.
Yes.
Was beating her daughter. What is that?
Yeah.
It ain't that much money in the world.
Yeah. And that tells me that a lot of the messaging is confused in our head. And it's just like, well, something, even when you think about that mother in that movie, she really didn't know how to love her daughters in that way because I don't think she loved herself.
Right, and I was going to say that. She had some other stuff going on because she was mad at one daughter because she said the daughter was the one who was messing up a relationship. And we get into that kind of stuff when we think about that. That's why I said, why go into a relationship if you don't have yourself together? Because all you're going to continue to do is continue to create that bad cycle. We're going to keep recycling nonsense and mess. Why do it?
Yeah. You know, and I think a lot of times that's when we have to go back to the fear, you know, just afraid of being by yourself. Well, if I'm by myself, people will think that somebody doesn't want me. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you what gets on my nerves because I've been single for a long time. And what I don't like is I'll hear this, you're too cute to be single. Must be something wrong with you because you're single. Or you need a man in your life. And you have no idea how that aggravates me. I'm not, and I have to tell people, I'm not out here by myself and not dating because somebody hurt me. I just don't want you. You know? And I'm not settling because you think I need to be with somebody. But that's something that you hear all the time. How do you combat that kind of nonsense?
You know what? I like to think about it this way. I always tell my single people, respond with, you know what? I'm patient. What's for me is for me.
Right.
And you know, that's not up for debate.
Right.
It's not for discussion. And it's like, because I feel like when you wait, I really thought when I was in my 20s, I thought that I would be 40 by the time that I got married. And the reason why I thought that, because I knew that I was not willing to settle. And my friends would tell me that I was picky. I knew exactly what I wanted in my husband, but life just happened and I got married when I was 29 years old. But I remember when we moved into our first apartment together and he found a book and it had a list of all the things that I wanted in a guy. And he's like, hey, look, what is this? And he was everything on that list. And I was willing to wait it out.
Right.
Because I was not going to settle. So for me, I thought, well, it may take me a little while to get what I wanted because in my 20s, I was running into a lot of guys who had not reached the maturity level that I wanted.
You know, even at the age that I'm at, you know, in our 50s, you still have these 50 years olds that I think they're going through midlife crisis. And, you know, they want the sports car, which I call the young ladies the sports car. They want that sports car. But they don't really, I mean, what are they teaching? Or what are they doing? And so for me, I don't get upset about it. It used to bother me. And I just look at them and say, well, you know what? Like I had someone say, you need to get up on me real fast because all these women want me. Okay, well, let them get you. And when I miss you, I'll call you up. Right now, I'm not missing you.
Narcissism.
So for me, it's just that I look at it and I kind of giggle because I'm in that space right now in my life. I'm not settling for anything. And when I feel that person is worthy enough to be in my circle, then I'll let them in. Right now, it's just me and a couple of friends. You guys stay tuned. We got some more for you.
Sensation Station Network.
Break yourself, fool!
Attention, licensed financial professionals. Are you looking to provide client solutions for longevity risks, withdrawal rate risks, and sequence of return risks? If you answered yes, then Game Plan Financial Marketing could be right for you. We help financial professionals at every level of production by providing mentoring, sales training, and marketing support to help you grow your business. At Game Plan, our top priority is supporting you and helping you reach that next level of success on your terms, not ours. New team members receive a personalized, step-by-step marketing guide to help take your business to the next level. Claim your copy today. Call Brian Cantrell at 404-889-6317. That's 404-889-6317. Offer is intended for licensed insurance professionals only.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Become the new you at Cobb County Kia. Get 0% APR financing for 75 months on select new 2017 and 2018 Kia Forte, Sportage, Sorento, and Optimus. Kia has been voted #1 in initial quality by J.D. Power for the second year in a row. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. Down payment will vary with APR and credit. For example, 0.0% APR with 2,500 down payment provides for 75 monthly payments of $13.33 per 1,000 finance for qualified buyers. APR finance available through KMS to qualified buyers. See dealer for complete details.
You think you can do this to me? I'm the man up in this piece.
Sensation Station Network.
Hey guys, welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We've been having a great conversation today, Kim, and I thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights, even helping me through some little shenanigans I got going on. You know, this part, I would like for you, one, again, tell them who you are, how they can reach out to you, and if there is something that you can leave to our men and our women out there, what would it be?
The number one thing is love wins. When you do a really good job of loving yourself, then it's going to be easier for you to love others. Yeah. The next thing is know your worth. Knowing your worth is part of loving yourself. I think about it like this. If you put $200 in the hands of a 2-year-old, that 2-year-old is not going to know the value. They're probably going to draw on it, tear it up, scribble on it. Yeah. And such is the same when you put yourself or offer yourself to somebody, to someone who does not know your worth, you will walk away feeling played with, cut up, just rode on, because they don't know your worth or they don't care to learn it.
Right.
And then it will be up to you to love yourself enough to move on. Love a little higher.
I like that. You know, numero uno.
Yes.
You got to take care of you. And I tell people, there ain't enough money out here,
Yes.
you know, for me to put a dollar amount on what my worth is. But I do know what I need and what I want in my life and what I'm willing to give and what I'm not willing to give. So I appreciate you sharing that. Now tell them again where they can reach out, what you do, and how they can reach out to you.
Yes, I am a relationship expert, and what qualifies me as that is I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia. So at this current time, I am doing a lot of relationship coaching, individual coaching. I do a lot of public speaking. You can reach me at www.kwspeaks.com. That's an S on the end of speak. So it's about stepping inside of a Kim Wilson experience. When you step inside of a Kim Wilson experience with me, you feel love, your perspective is opened up, and you walk away feeling, you know what, I can and I will.
I like that, the Kim Williams experience. Wilson. The Kim Wilson experience. I love that. You know, because I guess if we take it all for ourselves, we need to name our experience, because if you want to be in a relationship with me, you got to be a part of the Cherry G experience.
Yes.
I love that. You know? And I hope, guys, that if you're listening out there today and you were a part of the show, that you understood that the information that Kim shared with you today is that you are the numero uno. You're the head honcho.
Yes, and I would like to say, when you go to my website, make sure you click on the contact form so you can join my email list, and I can start sending you information whenever I do a blog, a podcast, or I'm somewhere speaking.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Now make sure that if you send that information to me, I'll put it out on my page. It'll also be on the Destiny Talk Live Facebook page, so guys. So if you got stuff you want to talk to Kim about, her information will be on there. But I really do appreciate this conversation because it's needed. We have to have a lot more of these conversations to bring back family, to teach people how to deal with issues within themselves, because I think a healthy relationship and love only comes when you know you.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so guys, again, like we said out there, stop looking for something to validate you, because I always say the day you wake up, the moment you wake up and you open your eyes and you take your first breath, you have been validated because you were allowed to live one more day. So that's what you need to look at as your validation. And don't look for anybody's approval.
Mm-hmm.
The only approval you need right now for you is your own approval. Mm-hmm. If you can't look at that person in the mirror and talk to them and smile at them and believe what's coming out of their mouth and feel the affirmation from what they're saying to you in that mirror, there is a serious problem there. Fellas, get help. Ladies, get help. Families, get help. Put the cell phones down. Turn off the social media. Spend some quality time with one another. Spend quality time with yourself. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to walk into your greatness. You're not going to walk into your destiny. And your relationship, a healthy one, is going to be a distance. You're not going to reach it. Is that kind of like what we're saying today, is sum it all up?
Cherry, you are spot on, honey.
I love it, you know, because like I said, it took a long time for me to realize that I was the gem in any relationship. And that gem in that relationship was me. I had to learn that I'm the diamond. Yes. Not the one in the rough, but I'm the diamond.
Say that.
You know, so, you know, all these little people that coming at me in my little box, my little inbox, telling me what I need to do. I want you to know I look at myself as a diamond, and I'm not willing to compromise or turn down its shine for you. You're going to have to either come up to my level, you're going to have to get on with the good foot. They call it get on with the good foot. Because ain't nobody got time for that. Isn't that how she said it? So, guys, again, I thank you so much for tuning in. Kim, again, thank you so much. Again, give them your website.
www.kwspeaks.com.
And it's the what type of experience?
It's the Kim Wilson experience.
You guys remember that. Put your name on it. It's your experience, because this is the Cherry G experience, okay? That's what I'm saying. Guys, thank you again, and y'all have a good day, and we'll be back with you again next Thursday.